Hey, how's it going, guys? Ancient Rune here, back with another Borderlands video, and today I'll be going over all of the good Zane class mods. Now, I could do an in-depth video on this, but I'm just kind of gonna go over them all with some notes, but really just off-script stuff on what's good and why it's good. First off, we'll go over the passives. I don't have good passives on these class mods, as I either got them from a vendor or just use Save Editor with Loot Lemon. But good passives are going to be weapon type damage, which is like SMG damage, pistol damage, launcher damage, all that type of stuff is good. Then we have splash damage, splash radius, crit damage, manufacturer damage, action skill damage, and action skill cooldown. You also have stuff like fire rate, that can be nice, and reload speed, and magazine size. There's some that just are really just depend on what you're doing, but I'd say the main ones are going to be weapon type, splash damage, splash radius, crit damage, and manufacturer crit. And even then, it depends. Action skill damage, of course, if you're using your action skill for damage. Some that you don't want is going to be weapon damage, where it just says weapon damage, as well as manufacturer weapon damage is just going to be really bad here. And that is because it is additive with violent momentum, which gives you hundreds of gun damage on its own when you're running and sliding around. When you're sliding and you've got a good like antifreeze or any VM comp, you're probably hitting 1,000 gun damage. Not 30% or so like this here, 35%. That's not going to do anything for you. But let's get on to the class mods. This is also not a ranking, so if you're looking for that, you're not finding it here because you can't rank these class mods. There's just so much situation stuff in this game. But first off, we have the Executor. I like to call this like the all-rounder class mod. If I'm critting and dealing damage, then I'm going the Executor. It gives 75% crit damage, I believe, and 20% cryo damage where it says status effect damage. This doesn't happen with all things that says status effect damage, but since cryo doesn't have a dot, it will be doing that. It also has accuracy and handling and status effect chance, which is nice. Its status effect damage is also really nice for red explosions, which I like. But you can increase this with kill skill bonuses to be 105 crit damage and 28% cryo damage, which is just really good. It's easy bonuses to get and just really strong bonuses. And also the top rolls are all really good. And with class mod farming, you really don't need to focus on that. But the builds I also like to use this on is non-gun builds, because this crit damage and cryo damage will apply to other stuff. Mainly on my mind is like the Mantis Cannon as well as Sparkplug. Those are my favorites. And then for the Executor, I like to have splash radius at all time because of hollow point. With critting all the time, you're gonna hit hollow point, and that just means better mobbing. And then we have the anti-freeze. This is specifically for the violent momentum points and not because of the legendary effect. While it slows stuff, you can do some niche stuff, but it's not really important here. I'm possibly coming out with a build on it, but not, I don't know. But it's like a one-time thing, so I wouldn't really focus too much on that. It's more just kind of nice. But this is going to be used if you're doing a run and gun class, and also kind of competitive with the infiltrator. But if you don't want your shield broken and you want stuff like amp shield, then anti-freeze is going to happen. And you just want to get as many points into violent momentum as possible with still good passives. Probably minimum of 3 points in violent momentum with good passives. And then the other violent momentum combo will be Infiltrator. Again, as many points into violent momentum as possible. Amazing for the run and gun stuff. This is really nice for the shield break effect as well. For stuff if you're using like Revolter or Stinger even, Frozen Heart, anything that wants your shield broken is really nice because it gets, it removes the need for the action skill start anointment. And opens up stuff like ASC 50 or like Terror Anointments, which are really good on Zane, especially non-gun stuff. And then we have the Hustler. Top rolls don't matter, but Brain Freeze can be nice, but farming so bad it isn't really important. This allows for special crit effects like Eraser, Arm and Flint, and the Ellie Crit Anointment. Um, Everyone, I think, knows why Hustler is dumb with Eraser. Arm and Flint is a double dipping dot, so it can be really strong, and then Ellie Crit Anointment can be used then to make it a triple dipping dot or triple dipping explosion from the dot, which is just insane. Most builds I've used Hustler on use Flash Radius, so I definitely make sure you have that. And then weapon type or splash damage is really good. And then we have the conductor. This is just really good for non-gun stuff, especially if you have two action skills active, like clone and drone going. And drone will then also get that bonus, but then you can have like spark plug as well, slamming around, and even shield effects, and that will be getting the bonus. It's just really good, and it has some good top skills to where it doesn't matter what rolls, but it makes it so you can like have more action skill duration as well. And you can also go stuff with like Comical Collected and make it last even longer. And with non-gun Zane stuff, that's easily doable. And this is good if you are, for example, not going Death Falls close. Then you lose some damage boost out of Executor. It also Conductor just boosts more stuff than Executor, because this will boost anything that gets like your damage, while this will boost everything that's your damage but has to crit or have a cryo bonus element or cryo damage. So Conductor's still really good with that. Then we have the Seeing Dead. This used to be seen as the best class mod, and it's honestly kind of mediocre now, but it's still good. It has its uses. For clone related stuff, it's useful for like max damage. For clone, because of Donnybrook rolls on it, you just want to go as much Donnybrook as possible with like splash damage and action skill damage on it, and that'll be good. Now, clone does enough damage to where you don't really need it, but it still is there if like your build's struggling. It's something easy to swap on for clone to do more damage. It's also really good for fractal frag spam. I like using it for a grenade focused build with clone, and then also super easy fight for your life damage. Zane has tons of other ways to get out of fight for your life, but it is a really easy one. But I'd say don't really worry about that and get something that helps you stay out of fight for your life, or just helps in fight for your life and out of fight for your life. It also just doesn't boost Zane's damage at all, besides some irrelevant indirect stuff with the skill rolls. But again, skill farming is a pain, and most of the time not gonna be as impactful as the passives, especially on Zane, who really likes having good rolls. You can also use this in two action skill active stuff like drone, clone, and barrier, where you're not using mantis, but usually you could just do other things for more damage and a better class mod. Like if I'm going clone cast stone, clone's getting kills. I don't need a Seeing Dead to keep my kill skills up. As well as me just doing enough damage, I can do clone blowing up spam, and that'll activate my kill skills and action skill start and action skill end anointment. So that's just really good there. It's just kind of falling off, and then, like if you're good at the game, you don't need Seeing Dead even without Mantis. And then we have the Spy. This is used purely for the top rolls and not for the legendary effect. Kill skill effectiveness, that's pretty nice, but doesn't really matter. So it has Arm and Flint Plate, which is amazing as its V2 damage, which getting that is just really good for Zane, as well as applying a strong dot or just cryoing. So if you can't reach that and you want to cryo enemies, using a cryo gun with this is really good, or just using cryo mantis and hitting a crit is really good. It also is good for applying a dot. If you really want to deal a lot of damage with dots, this is good. Usually I'll go Hustler for consistency, but Spy helps you get that if you want to apply dots to stuff and not go to Arm and Flint. That is really good. But you could also go Executor and get Arm and Flint and have better dot application. But it's still really good. And then it has Headsman's Hand for good crit damage, and then Commitment for cooldown. For a lot of my builds, I don't find it beats Executor, because I'm mainly going like Arm and Flint and crit damage on a gun build. and the crit damage from executors better. And if you're going non-gun stuff, executors is better. It's also easier because you don't have to worry about farming the rolls. But I really like using this for commitment with Nova spam stuff because it gives more cooldown, so you can spam as much as possible. This is going to be the best class mod for that, with like Stinger or Frozen Heart, even Messy Breakup. There's a lot of different shields. Void Rift. I just find this to be the optimal comp for that kind of stuff because it gives so much cooldown. Now, those are the main class mods for Legendary. I will also go over some purples, so wait on that. But these are the niche class mods. First, we have the Shock Raider. What's niche about this is it rolls pocket full of grenades. This is good for easy access to grenade damage and can also just be great for Mesmer spam on Guardian takedown crystals, as you can just throw this on with the ammo regen, throw some Mesmers, and it'll do really good there. You could use this to just have more grenade spam on a grenade spam build, or just get access to it so you can use points elsewhere. Because getting pocket full of grenades is a good amount to where on stuff with grenade spam you could get more green tree, more purple, or more blue, because you're really just going down for pocket full grenades. Sometimes you can get Trick of the Light, but mainly you'd have to spend a lot of points for pocket full grenades where you'd usually not want to. And then we have the Cold Warrior. What's cool about this is it rolls Trick of the Light, and this is specifically for Sentinel, as Sentinel always benefits from Trick of the Light. So if you get 3 points in this with good passive, that'll be amazing. You can get 6 out of 3 Trick of the Light with that, because if you're going drone, a lot of times you are going to try and get this unless you're doing different stuff. So this is competitive with max drone damage. The only thing that challenges it is the Conductor, because it's also a really good bonus element. Now this is it'd be what, a 90% bonus element versus a up to 100. This is shock while the other's cryo, so you've got shields and armor, and you can just swap around as you want. But you also have the fact that you can already have some cryo bonus element and then also add a shock bonus element to Conductor. So it really just kind of depends on that. All right, and then we have the purple Zane class mods, which are actually really good. There's not many of them, but the ones that are good are really good to where I don't even farm, but I like to check the vendors just to see if I can find good ones. And so if you farm, always check the vendors. You can even vendor farm this. But first, I'm going to be going over 2 class mods which have the same purpose, the Agent and the Disruptor. I'd say the Disruptor is technically better because it gets some points in violent speed and violent violence versus these terrible class mods on Agent. But if you get a good Agent class mod, then it'll be a bad Disruptor. But we're using this purely for violent momentum. This can be used instead of anti-freeze, as it's an easier farm, because anti-freeze is a dedicated drop to Proving Grounds and doesn't drop anywhere else. Where with this, you can just look at purples while you're playing the game, or specifically vendor farm. It won't beat an Infiltrator, where Infiltrator can be considered, usually because of the shield break effect, and also just make the most part, it's an easy dedicated farm. But you could also probably farm the Infiltrator and maybe check a vendor. I think there's a Tanis vendor or a health vendor near Scrack, so you could do that if you wanted to. And then we have the Radical class mod. Now this is a perfect one that I save edited, but what we're using it for is Cold War. You probably want 3 to 5 points with good passives. It's just great for builds focusing on guns that benefit from Cold War a lot, like launchers, snipers, and some shotguns, just like slow shooting weapons, to where this is cool. I don't always really find that I like it, or like that it's better than something, but that doesn't make it bad. It's good. Like that is 10 out of 5. Look at this. That's a 400% bonus number. Hold on, let me equip this, because I'm dumb and didn't do that. But look, 400% cryo bonus element. That's nuts. Keep in mind, Revolter is a 200% shock. So, I mean, I probably wouldn't use Revolter with this, but you could have a 200% shock bonus element for your guns, as well as a 400% cryo bonus element for your guns, which is absolutely nuts. And then we have the Deceiver. Now, this is mainly if you don't have the Handsome Jackpot DLC for the Seeing Dead class mod, but it can still be good even if you have Seeing Dead, if you find a good Deceiver and you have a bad Seeing Dead. Now, why this is good is because it rolls point in Donnybrook for more clone damage, mainly needed to help bosses like when needed. And again, this is if you don't have any DLC, then you can't get Seeing Dead for Donnybrook points. So you have Deceiver here that will get those points. And then you can also mix in some Trick of the Light points if you do a non-gun build and want to focus on both Clone or Sentinel, or just have this, like if you don't have a good Cold Warrior, wherever it is, right here, if you don't have a good Cold Warrior and you want to do that stuff, if you find a good Deceiver, then you could definitely do that instead. You'd be looking at like action skill damage and splash damage here anyways, so something good to hang out with. But honestly, like I'd say the best purple class mods are going to be the Disruptors, just because it's a good replacement for Antifreeze since it's such a painful farm. Now, of course, with purples, you only have 2 passives, but you could still get good stuff. I'd say with this is mainly gun stuff. I already said Deceiver, splash damage, axis heal damage, as it's with non-gun stuff. But the Radical and Disruptor and Agent, I'd say at least get weapon type damage. And then, I mean, I love Splash Radius as it just helps with a lot of things. So you could look for that. Or splash damage if the gun does splash. And then probably crit. I kind of just went over what I suggested anyways, but it's still nice. I hope you like my rambling. These are all the good Zane class mods. There are some purples that are niche that probably have yet to been found, but Zane isn't that complicated and probably just be like oh, this is neat. I've seen some things where it could be neat, but isn't really worth it. If you had any questions, because this was really just rambling and not anything formatted, please comment down below so I can help you. But yeah, Zane has a good amount of class mods, and Seeing Dead, not competitive at all, as you can see. But yeah, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.